Hello, this is Marlyonama here to announce the exciting new Marlio Media store on the website marliomedia.com, where you can pick up some awesome branded merchandise including t-shirts and more to come, as well as some Kindle books I've published. And if you like the content of this video and channel, be sure to subscribe and follow me on Twitter and Facebook.
Hello everyone, this is Marlyonama, and welcome back to R&R, where bad media from the past needs a beating. And what better example to rip up a classic TV show way back in the past? Let's go look into old-time television. You know, the kind that a lot of modern spoof movies tend to reboot very half-assed. I think about this travesty, Land of the Lost.
Well, it's an adaptation of a children's TV show from the 70s about a man named Rick Marshall and his two children, Will and Holly, ending up in a lost world of dinosaurs while on a rafting trip that they somehow entered through a parallel universe.
And that's only until Will Ferrell jumped on board, where the entire adaptation basically completely crapped on the source material.
This train wreck and failed spoof from 10 years ago changes the entire backstory of the characters, settings, and adding more annoying characters. On top of that, there's also awful effects with the CGI and creature costume designs. Gee, it almost rivals the costumes of Magic Island. And by the way, why do so many of these awful movies I reviewed have the word island in the title? It's quite a coincidence that I also reviewed a very similar animated dinosaur parallel universe short just last year.
And so, let's get started with Land of the Lost. I am just so not looking forward to this.
And we open up with just that. Oh wait, never mind. I accidentally turned on Annihilation. Wrong movie. This version is a comedy for both teens and adults rather than children, as it has Will Ferrell in it, and he's making an ass of himself on national television.
We're in dire economic straits, and you're spending $50 million on studying time warps. How do you not think that's irresponsible?
Well,
are you smoking?
No, I'm making a balloon animal here.
But you can't smoke in the studio.
That's one way to start off your movie, is with a terrible video reel of Matt Lauer and his stupid TV show.
And this is exactly why I don't watch any cable TV anymore. Because all it is just trash tabloid talk shows. You know what I did? I said, fuck you, I'm cutting my cord! I'm a cord cutter, motherfucker. I stream on Netflix and YouTube, my own network. Because among young children, syndication really has a nasty way on getting kids hooked up till they're zombies instead of playing sports and hanging out with friends like they should.
After Will Ferrell is thrown off the air, he loses his professional credential as a scientist. And now he's forced to teach in a middle school science class.
You travel sideways in time to another dimension where past, present, and future all meet.
I don't know, buddy. Is that called time compression?
But that could just be orbital wobble.
You, right there, young man.
Yeah. If you shot a ton of pot at the sun, would it burn up and get everybody high?
No. Are there any real questions that pertain to science?
Do you see Alice?
Why were you crying in the bathroom before this presentation?
How come it looks like you're about to cry now?
Do dinosaurs have boobs?
When his presentation is over about the continuum transfunctioner, one of his old colleagues meets up with him. This is Holly, who was his daughter in the TV adaptation, and this time they made her a colleague / love interest.
You know what? I don't have anyone to blame but myself. Because as they say, if you don't make it, it's your own damn fault. That's a bitch slap of truth right there.
Holly is the only one who has faith in him still, and so she says he could still get his scientific credentials back by proving that the device can open up the parallel world to the Land of the Lost and see prehistoric life, or time compression in this state. After that, Rick, Marshall, and Holly get to travel to some desert trailer park where they meet some redneck tour guide who's begging for tourists. This is Will, his son from the TV series, but in the movie, who the fuck cares?
This little bitch here I call the Mexican vasectomy. Yeah? Okay, that's some bad taste.
This guy is a pervert who runs a cleavage shop and owns a casino. And he agrees to actually show them where the aforementioned Stargate is. And keeping in the spirit with the original TV series, he takes him down a raft down his abandoned Schlitterbahn raft ride. Rick accidentally drops the portal device into the water, and this somehow triggers an earthquake which sucks him down the river into the parallel world. And oh, you'd wish. We're far from over, buddy. And then they end up in the middle of the desert. Gee, I'm already seeing parallels to Dinosaur Island. And this must also take them on a completely different planet because we see not one, but 3 moons setting. Yep, and they even show it later on at night more clearly. And then they see a bunch of Wookiees using the old costumes from the Star Wars Holiday Special, or just some party city store, trying to sacrifice one of their tribesmen, and then Holly scares them off and is somehow able to speak English with one of the ones she's rescued.
Holly, Chaka.
And yes, this one is Chaka, one of the most useless, most annoying character in the movie.
Just gonna take a little look.
How dare you? How dare you? I mean you no harm. I mean you no harm.
And then they fall down in a conveniently placed pit where they don't even realize that they're standing under a death trap, considering the amount of other skeletal remains laying right beneath them. What fucking dumbasses! And then a vine slings them up, a horribly rendered CG vine, and then there's a T-Rex coming out to eat them. Seriously, do T-Rexes in this world have magic vines in their secret caves to magically trap prey in so that they can eat them? What kind of a fucked up world is this?
I mean, seriously, does a T-Rex basically leave for work on a regular basis and basically comes home and said, "Honey, I'm home. I hope you tied up the prey that fell down on our trap so we can have it for dinner."
Then they escape, but that doesn't stop Marshall from wanting to take pictures of the thing to prove the jerk-ass scientist back in the real world white.
His eyes do look red. Jesus Christ, just take the picture.
You know, because that's more important than just staying alive by dinosaurs trying to eat your ass. And then they escape in a cave. But Marshall does not like Chaka at all. He picks fights with them a lot, and it's a very annoying running gag.
I don't want Chaka sleeping in the cave tonight.
Whoa, not cool, dude.
No, it's a reasonable precaution, all right? He was just about to be executed, and I think he might have done something to deserve it.
Chaka must have taken very annoying stupidity lessons from Ed. Oh god, no! Please do not bring that ape back! Please!
Like I've said before, it's got a brain the size of a walnut. Okay, you got me? A walnut.
Oh, wait! I was using the wrong comparison to this world because apparently walnuts are much larger than in real life.
And sometime, Professor Marshall gets a random voice in his head by some random alien calling him to help. And he somehow sees this as a legitimate reason to wander off alone, and Holly and Will just believe him. They let it off, despite the fact that there's dinosaurs out there that can kill them at any time.
You feel that? That ambient energy? Just like at Devil's Canyon.
So when they get to where the voice was coming from, they come across a holographic projector that has auto-tune installed. I'm not even joking.
It vibrates.
I wouldn't touch that, all right?
Do you believe in love after love?
That is so dumb and childish.
Do you believe in love after love?
Will you please be quiet? Dr. Marshall needs silence.
I can feel something inside me say, I really don't think you're strong enough.
We're gonna file a DMCA! MCA. It turns out that this is really the temple of the Sleestack, the aliens from the TV show, even though this time they look a lot more plasticky than their TV counterparts. The sand shark is more realistic than this!
Yeah, seriously, I could come up with better costumes at those temporary Halloween costume shops.
And this little hologram thingy turns out to be a Stargate portal to some netherrealm where the voice was coming from. And this guy is one of the banished Sleestack.
I am Enoch, the Altrusian. Thank Vindok you've come to my aid, Rick Marshall.
You know me?
Who turns out that he was banished for 10,000 years for committing genocide against his own race. And now he wants to kill the Zarn, which is the leader of the Sleestack.
The Zarn became obsessed with using the power of these crystals to conquer the universe.
And so he tricks our heroes into doing just that. But he cannot really join them by getting out of the portal because, I don't know, maybe he's too short and weak, or he's wearing the pantless toga of shame.
They may look up my skirt, and I do not want to have some alien dick.
Yes, because in Sleestack alien society, togas are too socially frowned upon to go outside the portal in which he's banished from. And then they go back into the middle of the desert, where there's a bunch of misplaced hotels and ice cream stands out there. Only there they encounter more dinosaurs trying to forage out of the ice cream truck. Which begs the question, how the hell did this ice cream truck with a living person get through the portal if Marshall was the only one to craft such a thing? And yet they're too stupid not to fall for it. That's an obvious trap. I mean, this has happened before with the Digimon kids falling for randomly placed modern conveniences in the middle of nowhere, but I can forgive that because they're just naive young kids who didn't know any better. But these are fucking grown scientists! Not acceptable! But however, the only thing that's essentially warding them off from the obvious trap are the Velociraptors and the Allosaurs and the T-Rex from earlier.
These large predators are extremely territorial. Virtually nothing will distract them from each other.
Oh, crap balls. What do you know? This is one of those situations where dumping piss on your head's a bad idea.
And of course, it's not long that they've been spotted, and so Rick decides to basically outrun them until he finds a liquid nitrogen capsule who tries to catapult it into the Allosaur's mouth. Huh. Looks like he really learned a trick from the Russian hacker. As the Allosaurus explodes after being frozen alive, he is able to get the amplifier device, can send him back home until a pterodactyl swoops down and catches it.
I think the healing has begun. Met the
6, 7, 8, Marshall, Will, and Holly on a routine expedition. Met the greatest earthquake ever known. High on the rapids, it struck their tiny raft. And plunged them down 1,000 feet below to the land of the lost.
And this follows them to the nest. And why? Because the amplifier can also play a musical number. And the trail leads them to the pterodactyl's nest, which is located inside an active volcano. I mean, what kind of creature lays their eggs inside an active volcano? And then they have to actually be careful not to wake up the hatchlings, which haven't even hatched from their eggs, because it turns out the music is a lullaby.
The music! It must be like a lullaby!
And Holly knows this because, I don't know, but when the music goes off, the baby pterodactyls start hatching, and then they have to sing a song themselves in order to lull them back to sleep. Before they go back home, they have to celebrate in the abandoned motel in the salt flats, with Chaka offering them what appears to be a poisonous plant. I wouldn't be so sure about eating it, buddy.
I think it might be narcotic.
But then after Marshall and Will pass out drunk with Chaka, Holly stupidly sneaks off to find some dinosaur eggs to bring back home, to prove the world that she was right and to get Marshall's scientific credentials back. But then as Marshall wakes up from his drunken stupor, he comes across another monster.
So here's this giant enemy crab.
Oh, thank God there's a hot spring conveniently placed 10 feet away from us to cook this monster alive to make into our next meal. Oh, what a lucky son of a bitch I am.
And it's only until after they finish eating the giant enemy crab that Holly is missing and likely kidnapped by the Sleestacks. But as they sneak by and see two Sleestack starting to do the mating dance,
He's about to tap that ass. Would you shut up? He's not about to tap that ass.
it turns out that they are molting their skin, and so they use their empty husks of skin to get by the guards and save Holly. But oh no! Stupid for them, it turns out that Enoch is evil!
Enoch the Altrusian is guilty of the destruction of an entire civilization.
Entire what now?
Convicted of his crimes, he was sentenced to 10,000 years imprisonment and made to wear a tunic as a symbol of his deceit.
But then as soon as Enoch confronts them, the T-Rex from earlier shows up. Rick tries to essentially handle this on his own by taking him head on, and then just gets swallowed in one gulp. Oh, come on! That is so fucking cheap! He didn't even chew the guy! That is so, like, a cheap After Effects knockoff. I mean, even I could do shots like this. But it turns out, Rick was somehow not eaten alive at all.
Alright, my murderous friend, take us home. Woo!
Wait, did he just really fake this, or did he just miraculously survive by climbing out of the dinosaur's ass? Why isn't there any shit on him if he actually did climb out his ass? I mean, I don't even want to talk about it, but either way, the dinosaur's a good guy now. No questions asked. And so they then chase Enoch back into the portal, and then they try to fight over the stone thingy that can open up the portal.
I wrestled at Purdue. JV.
Yes, I have the short toga of shame. I can never let that go, because that's the ultimate punishment a genocidal maniac could not even bear to stand.
And then after defeating him, which in a very unconvincing final showdown, Will somehow decides to stay because he's learned that Chaka has a bunch of harem here that he wants to get. I don't even get this, but then Will and Holly return to that same trailer park water tunnel that they disappeared in.
Hey. Where's Will?
Now, I would call incest outright on this right now, since Will and Holly were originally the children of Rick Marshall in the TV series, but this adaptation, they are completely unrelated to each other, so this would technically add up as a former colleagues that have fallen in love with each other. Okay, long story short, Marshall and Holly get their scientific credentials back, and Marshall becomes a best-selling author, and of course beats Matt Lauer up again on his stupid talk show. And then Will and Chaka go back home to the prehistoric Playboy Mansion.
I'm here to offer y'all protection and shelter and really. Okay.
Wait, How come the women have a lot less hair than him? I mean, what kind of a fuck-up prehistoric species is that? I mean, the cast of 10,000 BC were not even like this. Not even the long-nailed emperor from the end of the movie.
I mean, this movie just fails on so many levels. I mean, if something is meant to be serious, do not reboot it into a comedy unless it's supposed to be a parody for Saturday Night Live. That's what abridged series are for. That's what online abridged series are for. You don't try to automatically throw in elements from the Orville, Stargate, and Jurassic Park all put into one package. That's a random combination of movies you're ripping off. Know who you're working with. This is Marlyonama, signing off.